Hey everyone, welcome back to the Real Estate Playground, where we cover everything within the realm of real estate. We have Ray Evans here and myself as your hosts. Hopefully, you guys were able to catch our last episode where we talked about listings to closing. So, this time, we're actually going to talk about one of Ray Evans' favorite subjects, and we're going to be calling it the flip side property transformations, where we talk about everything fix and flips and the whole process. How you feel about that?
I feel really excited about it when you introduced that topic the other day and I got to look at it. I was like, wow, we could talk for days about it,
Yeah.
but we're gonna
I
cover
feel
the
so like that's any
we're
subject.
gonna cover the basics. And if you ever want more information, if you're out there and you want more information, you're welcome to reach out directly to me or to Todd, and we can sit down and discuss all of these things in more detail and in more depth, because today we're really just scratching the surface of what you can do and what you can really transform your business into with this little niche.
Yep.
Is it niche or niche? It's niche.
Niche, niche.
Niche.
I call it a niche.
Niche.
You got to find your niche.
You guys out there, tell us what it is. Niche, niche, niche.
Oh, and before we get
Niche.
started, definitely like and subscribe. Make sure you
Please,
leave your feedback in your comments for
please
us.
do it, so we're not just sitting here talking to ourselves all the time.
We appreciate all of you guys and supporting us along this journey. And hopefully, we're also giving some educational advice to those that may not know anything about the flip process. But those that do, then this is just another refresher course for you.
And we even accept the haters as followers. Like, I'm cool with that too.
Hey, we're listening. If you were hating, son, I'll go for it.
Lots of haters out there, but that's all right.
So I personally believe for this that I consider it a 7-step process
Okay.
when it comes to fix and flips. Obviously, you may look at it a little bit differently,
Right.
but if you're considering doing a fix and flip, what's the first thing that you want to do? I know you've done some yourself.
Well, I mean, the first thing I want to do is evaluate the property, right? Look for hidden damages.
Where do you
Um,
find that property?
there's a multitude of places that you can find it. Typically, you can't find properties like this on the MLS. And at this point in my career, I've been doing this for so long. A lot of people reach out to me
Right.
because they know that I'm doing it. Or there are some wholesalers out there that call me and ask me if I'm interested to take a look at their properties. There's a bunch of different platforms that you can be on as well.
Want to know auctions as well is a good one too. The courthouse
Auctions, like
steps.
stuff that's going on in the courthouse, and pre-foreclosures. Pre-foreclosures are my favorite
Right.
because you don't have to compete with as many people for them. Now, there was a time and place on earth when you could actually go down to the courthouse. I'm really telling my age here with some of these stories, right? But there was a time and place on earth where you could literally go down to the courthouse, and there was about 2 or 3 of us in the community doing this at the time. And they'd come out and they do this thing called cry, where they read this entire thing and they cry on the courthouse steps. And once the cry was over, they say, "Hey, we're going to start the bidding at X amount of dollars."
Mhm.
And you would bid right there with those people. But there was a place and time on earth when people were not greedy and the almighty dollar was not the total motivation, where one of those guys would look right at you and go, Ray, you can have this one. And I'd be like, thank you much. And then next time I'd be down there, I would return that respect. But then some people came into the marketplace that didn't need the big profit margins and they wanted to do more. And look, that's just business, right? Like, hey, like, I'm not complaining. So I got out of home flipping for a little while, especially because the market shifted and, the profit margins got drove so down. But then all of a sudden I started getting these deals just sent to my inbox. And I looked at one, and the first one I did when I come back was really just like what you would call like a lipstick and rouge kind of deal, right? Dog house smelled like dog. Dudes had to move. No way somebody gonna give them top dollar for this house in the condition it was in. But it really just needed a little bit of TLC and some cleaning and some new carpet and some new paint, and some new stairs. We netted $60,000
That's actually really good.
on that property. And so I've gotten to a place in my career where I can actually look at a property, look at the price and go, that will work. And I don't go to any properties unless that's what jumps out at me. And then after that, I go inside and look at it and evaluate it. And really, you know, you got to make sure it's in a desired neighborhood. You don't want to buy a house that has a trailer on each side. Now, if you get it for low enough price, that none of that matters.
Have you ever purchased one blind?
I have,
Never been inside of it?
I have,
Complete surprise.
I have, and it's fortunately worked out for me. But I haven't been totally blind. I've been blind when I've went into the contract, but I got my ass in that house. The best house I ever bought on it was a house over in Williamsburg Plantation that I bought years and years ago. And I used some traditional financing on it when people always think that you can't get financing. But the biggest problem that we had back then is the appraiser needed to go to the house. But because it was a courthouse property, we
Right.
couldn't go to the house. But the day that the appraiser went there, somehow the door was on and the appraiser got in. So I don't know how that
Lucky
door,
day.
I don't know how that door got unlocked.
Uh-huh. Mm.
But the appraiser went in, did the appraisal, and I was fortunate enough to buy that house, sold it a couple years later, made a pile of money. Like here's a very wise thing that I've lived by, and that my real estate mentor, Sheila Pierce, told me. She says, listen, kid, she taught me just like that. Listen, kid, you make money on a house when you buy it, not when you sell it. So, but everybody thinks they're a home flipper too, and they use the wrong terminology. Are you familiar with the two terms?
Go ahead. What is it?
So I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, you're fine.
He's like, I don't want to get this treasure up.
My wheels were turning. I wasn't even thinking.
You know, because you've heard me say it, I'm sure, in all of our training classes that we have here at Remax. But there's flipping houses, and then there's renovating houses. There is a difference, or rehabilitating houses.
There is, yeah.
There's a difference. When you flip out but the terms are sometimes used interchangeably by people who don't know what they're talking about.
Well, because they think that one covers all
Yes.
within it.
Flipping a house is if I go to you and I buy your house at a really good price and you write a contract with me. But that contract is going to say that the buyer is RE3 Properties LLC and or assigns, which means, and if you look further into the real estate sales contract, the contracts can be assigned to other people. And if the buyer is and or assigns, and of course, I also have a attorney drafted addendum on all my contracts that say that I intend to either buy this property, make repairs to it, and sell it for a substantial profit, or assign this contract to another buyer for an assignment fee. And I tell them that right up front. And that's where people have gotten into trouble, and why some home flippers are getting bad names, because they're not disclosing properly their intentions.
Right.
And they go in and they don't really have the money to buy it. One thing about us, I never enter into a contract unless it's a property that I would also be willing to eat in case the assignment contract fell through. In other words, I'm buying the house from you and we have a closing date in that contract and it's March the 30th of this month. And you're counting on me paying you this money. If my assignment contract falls through with another rehabber who's maybe trying to buy one for me, because I sell them all the time. I flip them and rehab them. But I always have the intention and make sure I have the financing set up in place to where you won't get stuck.
And that's a big thing too for our listeners and our viewers. Obviously, making sure, one, that you have a budget going into
Budgets are important.
doing the whole property transformation, making sure that you have a budget, or making sure that you have the financing to be able to go in and purchase property.
I honestly don't think I've ever lost money selling a house. I mean, it's been close a couple times, but that's because we have a conservative approach. And if the seller won't sell it to us at the price we want, we're willing to walk away. Never, ever, if you do this, never, ever try to fit a square peg into a round hole, to speak in cliches. And believe me, I've tried to jam them damn things in there a couple times and it has never been good. It's always worked out okay, but you got to be willing to walk away. And what you'll find out is they're like, oh, well, Steve down the street told me he's going to give me another 10,000. I go, well, then let him.
Yeah.
Because Steve's going to get into this contract and he's going to undercut me right now, but then he's going to come back trying to undercut you later when he finds out how much it costs to fix that little crack that you have right there is actually a $16,000 foundation repair.
Yikes.
And I know this because I've done this before and I know what a foundation repair looks like and what one doesn't look like.
But for those that haven't done this before and are looking to get into it, that's a big thing that they're going to have to make sure they're hiring the right people to help them out with it.
And look, I highly, highly recommend that if you are going to renovate a property, you find somebody like me and you go into a partnership on a couple of deals and learn the ropes. I had a partner one time that, I mean, he insisted that this house was a good deal. And I kept telling him, listen, man, I'm telling you, this house is not going to make us money. I've been there. I know what a good deal looks like, and I know what a good deal isn't. I bought the house just to make it be quiet and show him, guy, look, this is the deal. So find yourself a partner though for one or two of them. I mean,
Well, and
generally,
also make sure you're finding the right partner to do them
yes,
with.
yes, because you don't want to cut corners here. You don't want to deliver a crappy project. I see home flippers all the time with 15-year-old air conditioners, and I just don't think that's right.
Did you and your partner go
I've
in
sold some
with
houses with that.
your own money, or did you guys use a financing option like hard money, cash,
Yeah.
regular traditional mortgage? How did you guys?
So I have a private investor that I've been working with for a
Okay,
number of
so private
years, and
investor.
he's been good to me. I actually learned this from selling some new construction back in the day. A home builder that we used to work with, he had some high dollar investment partners that used to go in and buy the lots, and then he would pay interest only on the lots while he built the house. And then at the end, he would close on the deal, pay him back the interest. I mean, he paid the interest every month and then pay him back his principal and then collect his money. So it was pretty cool. So what I did is I go, oh wow, this is cool. And I did the same exact thing and
And it worked out.
it worked out. So now I've got two investors that I primarily work with, and I really want to work with my own cash moving forward as we get a little further into 2025. Just because the interest payments, if you're gonna do it like that, I would highly recommend you only have two properties going at once. At one time, we had over six properties going, and the interest payments on that is like, it's a significant number. It ain't a bank loan, and it ain't 8% or
Absolutely
6%
right.
of the bank. It's double that because there has to be something in it for the investor. But again, we go into these deals fat, knowing that there's profit on the back end. But the name of the game too is getting it done quickly, getting the house turned around, ready to go back on the market. I mean, I have one that's getting ready to sell. I've had it on the market for 60 days, but I had it for 2 years. And I just mismanaged it because we had so much other shit going on. I mean, this is a property that I bought for 70,000 and I'm selling for 240 with
Wow.
about $100,000 worth of repairs, 110,000. But I'm not going to make 60 grand on it or 50 grand on it like you would think because I've carried it for 2 years. So that's 2 years of utility. I didn't know what I was going to do with the damn thing. And that's the other thing is you need to have a plan up front and stick to it.
Which is a big reason why we're doing this video, is to let all of our viewers and listeners know as well.
Yeah.
Make sure you have a plan of action if you plan to get into this industry of fix and flips.
Yeah.
Like I said, first things first to me would be make sure you're doing your research, making sure that you're finding that desired neighborhood, make sure that you know the area that you want to purchase this home.
Yeah.
Then obviously you want to make sure you have your budget in place. You
Yeah.
want to make sure you have your financing options taken care of. Like him, he did private investor. If you're going to use your own cash, if you're going to use a hard money loan, make sure you're doing the research, you're talking to the right people, figuring all of
It's
that out.
important. It's very important.
Well, and then on top of that, you have to find out, are you going to do this fix and flip as a DIY, or are you going to hire professionals to do it for you? Do you exactly? Do you want to be the clean fingertips, or do you want to be? I see, and that's where I would be completely opposite. I like to be more hands-on with a fix and flip property. I know, but it's like putting that little
But hey,
touch on there
listen,
from
man,
yourself.
if you got the wherewithal to be able to go in there and put it's called elbow equity,
Mhm.
where you go in there and you do some of the renovation work yourself and it's quality and you're following all the rules and laws of permitting and stuff like
Right.
that. I mean, look, you could do well, and then that would actually allow you to outbid somebody like me who has to pay a contractor to do it. In my experience, like I had a contractor that we did 24 transactions in 1 year. It was incredible, man. And of course, as any good business person, I'm dissecting my business model, the following year. And I go, I'm paying this contractor a lot of money. I can cut these costs by eliminating this. But what I lost in that process is I lost a really good partner who understood the process, who did some extra things for free. When he saw they were messed up, when he quoted me a price, he never tried to bring me another bill for $8,000 more because he found this. He goes, hey, I should have saw that when I evaluated this property for you. And so I'm very glad to have him back. We just did a renovation project with him. Of course, I didn't make as much money on it as I was supposed to because my other investment partner actually bought the house. And so I was like, damn, how do you make money off your guy? But I mean, I still made a little bit of cash because we are in business. But I'm not greedy, which is why I'm willing to put an air conditioner on a house to make $10,000 less because I want to have something to sell when that buyer leaves in 4 years or 5 years or 2 years. And that's happened to me many times. So I always price the houses at a really good, fair price,
Right.
because I care about the communities. And that is another great thing too that you do, is you can also clean up a neighborhood as a really
Look,
bad
I
atmosphere.
love it. I feel
That's
like
my favorite part about it.
we'll look at downtown Jacksonville,
Oh,
Jacksonville, North Carolina. We have a whole downtown city area that is basically being
it's coming up. That's
yeah,
like a 25-year
regenerated.
process. They've been talking about that forever, but I did go just crush some Mexican food there the other morning.
Oh,
What's
I
that place
heard.
called down there?
Oh, I don't know. The one by Dewey's, or that used to
Dude,
be
it's
Dewey's by the
so good,
courthouse.
bro. Delicious. Delicious.
I want to see the
Oh,
city of Jacksonville downtown come alive
it's
again.
on its way. It's
It
on its way. They
is.
gotta get that damn road done down there.
It is.
Crazy.
So
I
it's
drove
almost
down there
done.
the other day, and the fence was still right there.
I
Drove right
went
up to the fence, beat the
Sunday.
horn.
Yep.
Going on.
I went
Nice,
Sunday, and they just laid all brand new asphalt.
Very nice.
So
It's gonna make all that real estate over there go up.
it is.
Some people have flipped some buildings over there too. There's a building over there that I want to buy so bad. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it. Not to flip. It's actually an income producing property, which is also, commercial real estate. It's a whole nother class we can do here, whole nother podcast. But flipping is my jam, and renovating is my thing.
Well, and that brings me
love to
to
do it.
another question I wanted to ask you, and this goes for the viewers as well. Do you like to flip the type of properties that are more on the cosmetic side fixes or more on a full renovation?
I always like the cosmetic side, especially with the way that my
like a
program
quick
is
turn
set
and
up.
burn.
Yeah, man. If you can buy those properties right, those are easiest. Those have less inspection problems. Those don't have the slowdowns where you got to wait for the permitting office and wait for the city and county inspectors to come out. Like those are, the turn and burns are definitely more profitable. You pay less interest on them while you carry them.
Right.
Yeah, I just did one, put on the market 2 offers. $22,000 renovation. Bought the house for $135,000, $26,000 in renovations. On the market for $224,900.
How long did it stay on the market?
2 days under contract.
Wow, that's not bad. That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's a win. And look, it's not a home run, okay? But a very wise man told me one day, he says, I sell hamburgers all day and I eat steak at night. So I'll sell those hamburgers all day long, and then I'm going to Ruth Chris.
And I'll keep reiterating, I feel that is a big thing. Like when it comes down to the cosmetic or the renovation type of flip, making a plan of action for it, but also making sure you know what your timeline is going to be as well. Because one of the biggest things I learned on the very first flip that I assisted and was a part of was the carryover costs. And if you don't know what carryover costs are, those are what
Mommy,
get
I
you
have the
through.
formula.
Yeah,
And we need to have a guest on the show.
I'd love that.
Do you know Mike Ferraro?
I do know Mike Ferraro. Yes.
So
Is it
Mike's
Ferraro or Ferrero? He's probably going to
Ferraro.
listen to this.
Ferraro. Yeah.
He owns Kitchen and Lighting in Jacksonville, North Carolina as well.
Yeah. So Mike came to town. I had some parents, Mike's parents knew he was a Marine, his dad, and I sold their house and they introduced me to Mike. And Mike came here and him and I started flipping houses together. And I got scared of a deal. And me and Mike, we just kind of dissipate our relationship, but I should have rode those coattails, Mike. But we still have a great relationship.
Yeah.
And Mike, I can pick up the phone right now and call him, and he's that kind of guy.
Well, and I would say 8 years.
We'll have him in though. He's brilliant.
8 years ago was when I first got introduced to it and finding out the formula behind carryover costs, but knowing all the things that go into that within. If you plan to flip this property within the next 6 months, you need to know what costs you're going to have carrying through that 6-month process, whether it's the utilities, making sure you have a dumpster on site, porta potty if you need it for the vendors that you have coming out. So all of these things come into play, labor,
They do.
taxes.
I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Yep.
People think, oh, well, I just went to one the other day out in Huber. One of our agents turned me on to it. So I went to evaluate it. And as we got there and as we walked through the house, it was just problem after problem after problem. The price was good, but it wasn't good enough. I try to make a minimum of $20,000 minimum profit. And so you just have to work backwards from the cost to sell, the cost to carry, all those things, the cost to fix, and then you minus your profit that you want.
Well, and then what
And then
about
you make
for
your offer.
unexpected expenses? You need to have an emergency fund put aside in case
You have
you
to
run
be,
into
that's why you have
emergency.
to be very conservative with it.
What was the one thing you mentioned earlier about it ended up being a foundation problem? If you go in thinking that this is just an ordinary crack in the concrete, and then you find out it's a structural issue,
That repair on that house, $16,000 to fix.
or maybe replacing all of the plumbing pipes.
And that's why we ended up holding on to it for so long, because I was like, fine, we'll just make it a rental. We really don't have to fix this. But if you have a structural problem and you're going to try to renovate a property, you have to disclose that. So I was like, what do I do here? But I ended up just fixing it, and now we're gonna sell it. So we're going we're gonna make about $14,000 on it.
Yeah.
Which, at the end of the day, think about that though. Think about $14,000, and that's just one. And we're gonna do 18 to 30 this year, somewhere in that.
Do you
That
do
ballpark.
any 1031 tax deferred exchanges on anything?
Not on those.
Yeah.
Not on those. It just the numbers are too those. I keep that for a more longer term hold.
And that'll be another episode. We can cover that as well.
Josh, and that is one lesson that I learned from that first year when I sold 24 of those houses. This was like 2002 timeframe, maybe 2004, I think. I can't remember. But the one thing that you need to know is those houses were selling. We were buying them for 80, fixing them for 20. I'm old as hell.
Isn't it crazy the
crazy.
price of homes
Dude,
back then?
those
to now?
houses would have doubled and tripled in value by now.
Ooh.
And I love you, dude. And I'm so glad we're doing this podcast together. I wouldn't be here. If I would have just hold on to half of those houses for the market cycle. And the same thing applies now. We're still turning and burning them, and everybody wants to flip. But the real key is buy and hold.
There's a realtor that I follow. She's out of Atlanta, Georgia. Some may know her. Her name is Glenda Baker. I've watched her on TikTok, and I think she's gotten a couple more episodes on podcasts and things. But that was a big thing that she had said too, like where she got a whole bunch of money. She should have bought herself a townhouse that was $100,000 back then, but instead she spent it on a new Mercedes and clothes.
Oh
and
my
just
gosh,
pissed it
do
all
not
away.
do that, realtors, please.
She said that she came back. She came back.
Appreciating assets are nightmares.
She said this was back in 95 or 97, I think she said, but she said today that townhome is worth $1 million. And she said she no longer owns a Mercedes and the clothes no longer fit her. So she's
Too much.
But
Sorry, Glenn, I'm sorry.
But at the same time,
That's
do your
terrible.
research, have a plan of action. As long as you can see the numbers lay out and it plays out in your favor, it could be a great investment property to move forward on.
Yeah. And the nice thing about those properties is you get them low enough, they cash flow, their mortgage interest deductions, and of course, however your tax professional has you preparing your taxes. There's a lot of benefits to holding on to them. And I hold on to one or two every now and again. But what's really cool about that is if you hold them and you ever run into a cash jam as an agent, or you have a slow market, you sell one and put $150,000 in the bank for those lean times. I mean, it's crazy. I just was in a little crash. No, don't say that word.
There's been too much of that lately.
The crash is brief. But you have I had a little cash pinch with the investment company, R3 Properties, and I was able to sell a couple of the properties I was holding and immediately become liquid again, which is another beautiful thing about risk.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I
love it. Can you tell? I'm more excited about this one.
The renovation process. Now, when you go into it, obviously you want to make sure that you're hiring professionals, or if you're doing it yourself, but electric, all that, I hire an electrician in a heartbeat. Now, what would you say, what would be the key places within a fix and flip, whether you're doing cosmetic or a full reno? What major areas do you think that you would hit that adds a lot of value? That's
kitchen and bath.
Is that where you want to put the most of your money at?
Absolutely. Kitchen and bathroom.
Yeah. Okay.
Simple answer.
I mean, I agree. Just want to make sure our viewers and listeners also feel that. I do agree with you. Well, you got to think, okay.
That's the second time today.
Well, you want to speak to your audiences as well, of anyone who's going to be purchasing this home. Where do most go? They immediately go straight to the kitchen and the bathroom.
And flooring too. Flooring is important.
Right.
New flooring, new paint. Like it's, but kitchen and baths are,
usually the husband, boyfriend, the man of the house is usually looking at, is there sofa or recliner going to fit the living room, and how big is the garage? You don't agree?
The dude is just looking at those things. I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm not saying that's all they look at. What I'm saying is usually that is what they're more drawn to.
For sure.
The women aspect is more towards kitchen, bathrooms, laundry, because that's what they do. Look, okay.
Did you just say? I love this guy, bro. This is the best podcast ever. And I don't care if you guys watch it or not. You're right.
Defense,
You're right.
This is not any insult to women. I think that women,
he's backpedaling like Ronnie Lott now.
That's fine. The women they like a clean kitchen.
Yes.
It's
for entertaining and stuff too. Like,
you look at TikTok, you look at, they're constantly on Pinterest. They're looking for laundry room ideas. They're looking for bathroom ideas. So when they go in, that's one of the first things that they're touching on is the kitchen big enough for me to cook?
It's okay, man. It's
But
okay.
now you got now I feel like I'm
No,
back in the corner. I
can
feel
I
very
know.
attacked right
I'm
now.
sorry. I'm just being silly. I just, I'm having a great time here at the real estate playground, talking about what I love,
Right.
which is taking something that looks bad and making something that looks good. And in the process, I get to walk away with a big old bag of cash.
Yeah, that's a plus
And
win-win.
I'm going to tell you, I help buyers and sellers, and my primary concern with them, with buyers and sellers, is ensuring that I follow my duties, that my fiduciary responsibilities. But when it comes to home flipping, I'm more concerned with the money that I'm earning from that investment, because that's
Well,
an
because then you're
investment,
gonna start focusing on what your next
and I represent myself.
reno is gonna be.
Yes, that's right, because that's just
Yeah, it's
and
a
and
great
it's how I
topic.
make my income. We actually have shifted a little bit as the market has changed, or is changing. And again, there's going to come a time where the market's going to be so great, I don't need to flip houses to make money. But I identified that, there's starting to be a little more inventory. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people need some help getting out of some of these houses that usually what you find out is the realtor didn't help them properly. They didn't help them look out for issues with the house. And then those issues became those small issues that the home inspection that they didn't have uncovered become bigger issues. And then some of those first time home buyers can't afford to move out of that. I've also done joint ventures with homeowners.
Well,
I've also
let's
helped
add
them as
on to
well.
that part as well. It's not always just the realtor. Sometimes you have very, very eager buyers that want to
Yes.
wash
Yeah.
away everything. I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't need an
Because
inspection.
and by the way, because they can't afford it usually. And
But I don't want to put all the blame on a realtor when
okay,
sometimes
fair
we do
enough.
have the occasional
Fair enough.
buyers that are very eager as well.
That's true. And look, here's the deal. If you can't afford a survey, and because a survey is something that could really mess you up.
Survey is crucial.
If you can't afford a survey and you can't afford a home inspection, maybe you should reevaluate buying a home at this time. That's what my real estate mentor always told me.
Well, and surveys are not super expensive, and they have different types of surveys as well.
Yeah. Now, ask me if I get a survey on my renos. I really usually don't.
Set the example over here.
If they get a survey and there's a problem, then we come to terms on it. But it's just been a great ride, man. Like, I never ever picture myself in this position to be able to call somebody up and go, "Yo, my guy, I got a deal, 180,000. Wire the money." He wires the money. He don't ask me no questions because we've been in business together now for a decade.
So he's a silent private investor now.
Yeah. Yeah. He sends the money. He makes the interest. He's not involved in the profits. A lot of investors want to get involved in the profits, and I'd rather just do one at a time with my own money than give somebody half of the profit for just providing the money. But that's still a way to get started.
Absolutely.
So if you find a deal, all right, and you know somebody with money, you can take that to them and go, because here's the deal. Just sign the deal up. If it's a really good deal, after you evaluate it property and make sure that it's a really good deal, sign it up. You'll find the money. Don't be afraid. And a lot of people are afraid. Fear stops people from doing it. I coach agents in my office once a month. Every agent in my office is supposed to, now they don't all do it, but most of them meet with me once a month for 30 minutes and we discuss the holes in their business. And most of them go, I want to get into this. I want to get into this. I tell them exactly how, but then they're afraid and they don't do it. And another real estate mentor of mine, Jeff Sawyer from Berkshire Hathaway, who I love to death, he told me one time, I would tell you two things. He says, "Hey, Ray," he says, "do you think that $500,000 in gross commission is possible?" And I had never thought about that before. Never. And I said, "Yeah, it is." And now that's the standard that I've set for my business. Less than that, I'm a failure this year. And Jeff also said to me, he goes, "You have broken the seal for risk." So once you have broken that seal for risk, it opens up a whole nother playing field for agents to be able to build wealth in the real estate business, because the real estate business is a get rich business. If you're not getting rich in real estate, you're not playing the game right, or you don't want to, and that's okay. But the real estate business is a get rich business. It's just not a get rich quick business.
Right. And I've always heard everyone always saying, invest in real estate. At some point in your life, invest in real estate.
It's actually part of the financial plan. Do you know the 3 parts of a financial plan?
No. I always feel like I'm being put on.
Sorry, I have so much knowledge to share, and it's because so many people have been so awesome in my life and they have shared their knowledge with me. But there's 3 parts that you need for your solid financial plan. You need real estate, you need investment, and you need life insurance. So
I got life insurance. It's expensive.
How much you worth?
I'm not. Oh God, it's bad.
Huh? I'm kidding. I'm not telling you.
Well,
I'm
and
not telling you.
but that also comes down to what you want your life insurance to cover.
Yeah.
So I pay a pretty good penny. I got to make sure I'm safe, protected, my family's taken
Better
care
watch
of.
your bag. We have too much insurance. No, you can't have enough insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. Now you can get swindled by an insurance person just like you get swindled by a real estate agent if you choose the wrong person.
Yeah.
But I have a great insurance agent that has a very personal story that he could share with us on a podcast sometime as well. So
Yeah.
this is so much fun today.
Well, and I will kind
Do I
of
look like I'm on the playground? Sorry, I
you
interrupted.
seem very, very excited.
Um,
But going back on to what you were saying earlier too is, if you do decide to end up getting into a full property transformation, a fix and flip, things like
Yeah.
that, once you complete that flip, like sit down, take a moment, evaluate and learn based off of what you did, what worked, what
Yeah.
didn't work, what
Yeah.
things can you fix, what things
Yeah.
can you implement the next time around,
Oh my God.
the right partner to have for your second property.
Yeah. I got into a house one time and they had the inspection and the electrical panel, the place was a doghouse. Doghouse. Well,
That's
we
a
got
good
it.
thing too, is it's got to make sure you're up to building codes
Did
too.
you just see the electrical panel? They opened it up, took a picture of it. It had crud and filth and critters and
Roaches.
feces of whatever the
Yeah.
freak was crawling around in
Seen a
that
couple
house.
of those.
Yeah. And I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. But guess what we did? They showed it. I said, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Somehow we missed that. And that contractor doesn't work for me anymore either because how are you going to miss that? That's important.
That's a big thing too. Know who
That's
you're
important.
hiring. That way, you have your plan for your future flip.
Plans for the future flips.
Yeah.
I have a lot in store, actually.
I would like to jump back into it. I just haven't yet.
Just do it.
There's so much on my plate.
Just do it. Who cares? Wah. I get it though. I get it. And you have to be careful because you could get hurt too.
Well, and I think too, like for you, you said that you like more of the cosmetic flip. I like the whole journey of the full.
You make bigger money
project.
on those big projects too, but they take longer.
They do.
And those I would highly recommend that you try to use cash for so that you're not paying that interest over
Right.
a long period of time. Or you have a partner. That is the nice thing about a money partner is then you don't have as many carrying costs. So you give or trade, but I just didn't want a money partner, man, to take half the deal.
Well, and some may not have a money partner, so you may want to look into hard money loans. I know a couple investors that have used hard money loans and it worked out,
I've never used one actually.
but some I've noticed
I
too
used an investor
that it
account.
didn't work out for them. Like they have to be able to net a certain amount to make sure they're able to pay that portion of the hard money loan back, but still be able to profit themselves.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing.
And they want you
Plan.
to have done a couple renovation projects
They do.
before. That's
They
part of the
want you to
qualifiers
give
for
them
that.
usually about 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That's what they like.
Yeah. They call me every day. But I don't like them because they charge a renovation fee.
Yes, they
So
do.
they're charging higher interest. They're charging lower interest than my main guy, right? Than my investor client. But they're hitting you up front with like 1.5 points plus the interest. And then you got to do all that stuff. You got to jump through all those hoops for them. So mine's much simpler, man. Like,
Yeah.
I could probably make a few more bucks with it. But again, if I have to slow down and work through that process, I might have missed the opportunity to buy another flip.
Right.
If I'm focusing my energy and efforts on that particular task when I really need to be out looking for deals and I need to be out looking for money.
That's my favorite.
Because your work.
Well, it's that, and I like designing stuff. I
I
like
can't do that.
making something old look
Now,
new
I
again.
will definitely tell you you are definitely strong in that.
Well, think about it. Like it's
designer.
everyone loves a good before and after photo. They do, no matter what it is. I mean, you've got Lori and what's his name?
Martin. Yeah.
Martin.
Man, they're incredible.
Martin
people,
Aragona and Lori.
incredible human beings.
They're amazing.
I bet they come talk to us too. Martin's a really cool guy.
Yeah, but
Real gentleman.
I like the before and afters of what they're doing with downtown Jacksonville. Biagio's alone, with it being all boarded up and just crumbling, and to be able to see what it looks like now, it's
Incredible.
absolutely beautiful.
I was just in a beautiful place down there the other day, man. Just really, really nice down there.
I did
That's a
year and a
renovation
half
project.
ago. I think that was my last renovation I did. Took 6 months, but
Really?
got it done. And I said,
How'd you do on it?
well, originally it was a listing, and I mean, I helped with the renovations, doing everything for the fix and flip, and I told them I can either list it for 100,000 as is, or we can sell it for over 300. And after 6 months of renovations, getting everything together, sold it for 330,000.
You bought it from them for 100?
No, I didn't. I was helping somebody else do it.
Okay.
But I mean, it
Which
was
is
still,
another niche that you can do as a real estate agent, a little bit of like project management type stuff. It's another great thing. Again, there's a million ways to make
well,
money
it
in the real
gives you
estate
that
business.
extra experience too. So when you do decide to
Yep.
venture off on your own,
Yep.
you already know what you're doing. And that's
Yep.
where it still comes back to having that plan of action, doing your
Correct.
research, your marketing, and things like that.
You're always right
Yep.
every time.
Blowing my head up now.
You don't need help. They don't need help.
So, other than that, do you have anything else that you want to give to our listeners or viewers?
I mean, listen, I'm willing to share whatever information I can with anybody who ever needs some help. I don't believe in holding on to things so tight
Right.
that it slips through your fingers. So if there are some viewers out there that have some questions and want to know about the financing, or if there's a deal that you need a partner in, I can make it happen. I can get the funds, and I'm ready, willing, and able
You're
to
going
make
to
it
tell
work.
that, and someone from California is going to be hitting you up.
Call me, dog. We'll make it work.
Well, and also make sure to leave comments and feedback too. If you have anything to add to what we've given as well, or you have any questions on what we've discussed so far, please, we'd love to hear it.
I second that.
All right. Well, I am Todd Erickson. This is Ray Evan. We appreciate you guys stopping by the Real Estate Playground to listen to us talk about the fix and flips. And tune in next Monday for our next episode at the Real Estate Playground. Have a good one, everybody.